Hi, welcome to Atheist Edge. I'm Sam, and joining me today is James Walker.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
He's with Watchman Fellowship. You can go to watchmanfellowship.org.
Watchman.org.
Oh, Watchman. I'm sorry. Watchman.org. And they're an apologetics group for mainly for Christians to gain education regarding alternative religions and cults. And today we're going to be talking about The Secret and the Law of Attraction. The reason why this is so important for both atheists and Christians is there are claims made about reality and the nature of you as a human being, which might or might not be true. Just to get us started, James, can you explain to everybody what is the law of attraction? What is the secret? Just in a nutshell.
Well, the secret, I'm not actually supposed to tell you it's a secret.
Oh.
But I'll go ahead and break the secret here. Rhonda Byrne was a television producer in Australia. She did a video, and then later this became a very, very popular book. More than 19 million copies were sold of this book. This thing called The Secret. And basically, at a very low point in her life, she had lost one of her parents had passed away. She'd gone through a very bitter divorce. She tremendous financial problems. Her daughter buys her this 100-year-old book, obscure book, as a gift and said, "Mom, this will help," and gives her the book, and she reads it, and she said her life just turned around completely. She went from despair to hope, and the book contained what she later found out was this thing she calls The Secret. And she thinks, how could I live to be like in my 50s and I've never heard this before? So what she says is she found out that many famous people, scientists, movers and shakers, important people, Einstein, Thoreau, Emerson, these people, powerful corporations, know this principle, but they purposely are withholding it. So her new purpose of life is to let the secret out. So she does the video first and then the book, and she tells you the secret is this thing called the law of attraction.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what is the law of attraction?
Well, basically, I mean, you read the whole book, but you could really summarize it into just a couple of words. Thoughts become things. That's it.
Understood.
Thoughts become things. She says that when a person thinks thoughts, it's like this big antenna with radio waves going out into the universe, and the universe is wise and is able to pick up and will manifest and send back whatever your thoughts are. So whatever you want, if you want like money or health, I mean, there's a whole section in The Secret. This woman, she has cancer. She decides, no, I'm not going to go to chemo. I'm not going to listen to my oncologist. I'm not going to do radiation. I'm going to think the right thoughts. And allegedly, she's healed. I mean, all people are following this is one of the reasons it's so dangerous.
Right.
People are stopped taking their medicine. They're going to do this secret. They're going to law of attraction. And the universe will send back whatever you're thinking. But there's a dark side to the secret.
Right.
Because if you think the wrong thoughts, the universe, this wise universe apparently doesn't understand things like bad or don't. So if you are worried about money or bills, like say bills are on your mind, you have this debt, bills on your mind, the universe heard that too.
So the universe will also give you bad things as well as the good things. It just depends on what you're thinking.
Exactly. So there's a section in there, like if you're worried about bills, you go out in your mailbox, the universe hears that, and it's like a genie. Your wish is my command. You were thinking about bills, you get more bills.
Gotcha.
So don't ever think that way. One of the things you learn in The Secret is not only what to think about, what to stop thinking about.
Right.
And so there's this whole section. There's even, believe it or not, a secret diet.
A secret diet?
Weight gain has nothing to do, according to and Oprah. Oprah believes this. And Rhonda Byrne, The Secret.
Really?
Weight gain has nothing to do with calories or exercise. Thinking wrong thoughts.
Is that why Oprah has gone back and forth in weight?
She needs to work on The Secret a little bit more, maybe. I don't know if that's a fluctuation or not, but it's what you find out is the number one cause of weight gain is looking at overweight people. So try to avoid that. Try to look at a different direction if you see overweight people. Now, of course, you and me, I'm a Christian, you're an atheist. We're both thinking, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Right.
But it goes back to this worldview of pantheism. Pantheism teaches that everything's God. I'm God, you're God, the table's God, everything's God. And being God, we have this unlimited potential. But the problem is we're God, but we don't know we're God.
Classic New Age philosophy.
Yeah, we're God with amnesia. And so you need something to help you waken up this potential that you have.
Yeah.
You could be anything you want to be, and you can think the thoughts, and you can create that reality if you know the secret.
Gotcha.
And while this sounds ridiculous, from our perspective, if you buy into the worldview, it's very attractive. They have this trailer that they did, theatrical trailer.
Yeah.
And I mean, you watch this trailer, and it's like, man, this is for $39.95, I can get this secret, and it makes you want to everything you've ever wanted can be obtained if you know this secret.
Yeah.
But from a Christian perspective, I'm going, no, this is not. A, it's not true. B, we found out the real source of this. It didn't come from the 100-year-old book that the daughter gave. It actually has a much more mysterious source for this law of attraction.
Interesting. And for the viewers at home, we're going to show the trailer here for you so you can see what it is we're talking about and kind of begin to get a sense of just why it's so popular and so attractive. So we'll go ahead and cut to that here and join us here in a second.
Throughout history, all the great minds, all the great leaders, all the great achievers, they had something in common. And now the great glimmering of truth can be revealed again.
This secret gives you everything you want. Happiness, health, and wealth.
You can have, do, or be anything you want.
I've seen many miracles take place in people's lives. Financial miracles, miracles of physical healing, mental healing, healing in relationships.
All of this happened because of knowing how to apply the secret.
This is the great secret of life.
All right, so
but could you see how attractive that is?
Yes,
and how it makes you just want that. Every one of us have these needs, either financial or health needs and stuff like that. Here's the answer to every problem that you have. The problem is not true.
Right, and either they're relying on popular Western thinkers, Einstein, and so on and so forth, saying that they had kernels of this in their thoughts, and quantum mechanics shows that the secret is true, and things like that. Let me ask you, so what do you think, though, of the claims that the so-called law of attraction are found in all the major world religions?
No, it's a misunderstanding that you will find some elements of it in classical pantheism. So forms of Buddhism and Hinduism, some Taoism too. There's some elements there because of this idea of all is one and that everything is God. But Christianity, now what Rhonda Byrne does in her secret is she tries to say, oh, Christians have taught this, and then they use these false teachers like people like Kenneth Copeland and Benny Hinn and these what we would call word faith teachers. You know, this guys you see on television. Oh, you send your money into my post office, and God's going to give you 10 times as much money back.
Right.
Well, these are charlatans. This is not the message of Jesus. Jesus didn't have a post office box where you're sending all your shekels into Him. This is a abuse of the Christian faith is what they're doing.
Understood.
So, and of course, it has nothing in line with the atheist worldview either.
Absolutely. I would definitely say that's true. I do have a question for you, though. Do you think Jesus had the law of attraction in mind when he said faith of a mustard seed can move mountains? Is there any connection there at all?
Well, the big difference, you know, as a person of faith myself, I am a Christian, and I believe that miracles are possible. You know, there's been a couple of times that things have happened in my life with people I know that I would put possibly in that category of miracles. The big difference, though, is I have no power because I'm a human. You know, I believe that there's a God who has supernatural power, but I'm not. I'm not God. I have no magical words, you know, so I can pray and ask God, but it's really God's decision, not my decision. And so with word faith movement, or in this case with The Secret, what you have is this idea that you yourself are God. And that's the actual final secret when you get in the last chapters. The law of attraction is not even the big secret. Not till the end of the book you find out the real secret, and that is that you are God.
That's demonstrably false. Can you know everything?
No, that's
one of the requirements of God. God knows everything. Humans don't know everything. Therefore, you're not God.
Well, from a Christian perspective, we would say it all goes back to Genesis 3, when in the temptation, Eve is told that you will not surely die. It's promise of immortality. Your eyes will be open. This is enlightenment. You will be like God.
Right.
So that was coming from not from God. That's coming from the tempter. That comes from the devil, not from God.
Gotcha. Is the law of attraction really an ancient, thousands of years old teaching, or is it new based upon postmodern subjectivism?
Probably neither. The real roots of this, there's two main roots for it. Part of the philosophy of it goes back to what's called the mind science religions. This would include Ernest Holmes and the Church of Religious Science, Christian Science with Mary Baker Eddy, the Unity School of Christianity.
Yes.
These are all 19th century, either quasi-Christian, where they try to take these principles, which are basically pantheistic principles, and put Christian terminology with it. So Christian Science is neither.
Right.
It's not science, certainly not science, and it's not Christian either.
Right.
It's kind of like false advertising, like the breakfast cereal Grape Nuts. It's not grapes, it's not nuts.
Yeah.
You know, so you have that working with that. So that's one of the roots of The Secret. But we also, kind of the scoop we had, I was asked by my publisher, Harvest House, if I would co-author a book, A Christian Perspective, The Truth Behind The Secret. And kind of one of the scoops we found in our research is the other source of The Secret. Not from the 100-year-old book that Rhonda Byrne says her daughter gave her. It came from a cruise that Rhonda Byrne took. We have photographs from the cruise. And she went on a cruise. There's a couple, Jerry and Esther Hicks, and they're New Age channelers. Now, a channeler, if you remember the old movie Ghost, where Whoopi Goldberg plays the part, this is what they do. And they do it for a living, and they have these, you know, they rent out the Holiday Inn, you know, conference room, or in this case, a cruise. You can go on and they channel. Esther Hicks goes into like an altered state of consciousness, and a collection of spirits allegedly come in her body called Abraham. And there's a group of spirits named Abraham, and she starts channeling the law of attraction. Rhonda Byrne goes on the cruise, is so mesmerized by this, she actually puts a contract in their hand. I want to write this as a video and a book, and you're going to get a percentage of all the profits that come from this. If you license the use of the law of attraction that comes from these disembodied spirits named Abraham, that's the real source of it.
Wow!
And so
you're saying the law of attraction really comes from somebody who claimed to be channeling spirits, ancient spirits.
Exactly. It's not, you know, there's a whole chapter in there about how quantum mechanics proves the law of attraction. It has nothing to do with quantum physics.
Well, let me ask you then, why is it that New Agey teachers of woo-woo keep insisting that quantum physics shows that thoughts create reality?
Well, again, and Rhonda Byrne tried to use that to make her case as well. There are certain things that are I'm not a physicist either, but just a little bit of study I have done in the area of quantum mechanics. It is counterintuitive. You understand Newtonian physics, and
makes
gravity,
sense of general
it makes
human level
sense.
experience.
Exactly. But when you get in a very small level, like very tiny subatomic particles, you throw all the rules out the window. So there are things that even Einstein said, spooky action at a distance. There are things of entangled particles that are just blow your mind. And there are things that we can't explain. Well, this becomes New Age of the gaps, so to speak. So we can't explain it. It must be New Age.
Right.
So there are two physicists that are quoted in the book that are particle physicists. They are actual physicists, trained PhDs in this field. But we did the background research. One of them teaches at Maharishi University.
Maharishi University?
Maharishi is the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of Transcendental Meditation.
Gotcha.
He also believes not only in New Age physics, he also believes in what's called yogic flying. They actually have courses at his university of how to levitate and fly. This is without an airplane flying.
Right. Isn't that, you can see videos of like the yogas.
Hopping.
They've got their legs crossed in that yoga stance, and it looks like they're just moving their legs and jumping off of their knees from pillow to pillow. Like, why is it?
Well, come to find out, there's 3 levels of the courses. You take courses on this, and there's hopping, which is what you see on the videos.
Yeah.
Then there's levitation, and there's free flight. Now, I've never seen the levitation or the free flight.
Right.
But it is pretty impressive, even the hopping part of it. And so John Hagelin is the guy who teaches there. It's quoted in the secret book. He also believes if you get enough yogic flyers, you can actually create world peace with this process of yogic flying. Now,
that ties in with the classic New Age thought of thinking positive and getting a bunch of people in a certain geographical area to focus their positive energies on a certain goal, like world peace or world leaders resolving some issue. Or
thoughts become things, they would say.
Right. Let me ask you though: is there any sense in which you could say thoughts do influence reality, or are they really equivocating between create and influence, or are they really saying you can just imagine your way to riches?
Now, they are saying you can think thoughts and create everything, including world peace, including prosperity, health. Like I said, don't go, even the advice, don't go to your doctor for the cancer, do this instead.
Right.
Every time you go to your doctor, you're thinking the thoughts of cancer.
Gotcha.
So now what we did is, and let me say this, there's an ounce of truth here perhaps. I'm a positive thinker. I mean, I want to have a positive mental outlook, and I do think it helps me set goals. And I don't even mind the word visualize. That's how I plan my day. I visualize it.
Yeah, but it's more of a psychological thing and interacting with people.
There are no supernatural properties of my mind to affect reality on a fundamental level. It changes maybe my plans, but it doesn't in and of itself change that reality.
Right. And I do want to mention this because it does tie back into quantum mechanics. And I'll include a link below for you guys. There was a great video on YouTube called The Visualization of Quantum Mechanics. And I've watched a bunch of quantum physics videos. I really liked this one because it was just showing the equations and doing visual representations of the waves and how they're measured and position and velocity. But by the time you get to the end of the video, I felt like it cleared up a lot of misunderstanding for me about position and accuracy and how you can know like where exactly this bundle of particles is. Anyway, I'll include that link below for you guys. Let me
say this on my book, or our book. The co-author is Bob Waldrop. What we did is let's take every one of the claims. Let's take the medical claims. Can thoughts actually heal you of cancer? Okay, so we put together some really well-respected leaders in this field of theoretical oncology and stuff, and we interviewed these experts. And what we found out that there could be a slight correlation in some areas. For example, heart disease, cardiac disease, stress, and thinking thoughts could actually affect the likelihood of a heart attack, for example.
But isn't that more just because
natural?
A heart attack
There's a natural
is related
explanation.
to stress and weakness of the heart, and so if you're really stressed out, you're going to be much more likely to have a heart attack, or you're running around angry and mad. There's stories of people.
There's
dropping
obviously
dead from
physiological connection between being stressed out and heart conditions.
anger. Right.
Take it to the area of cancer? No way. There's no way that thinking thoughts ever heals cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to go to your doctor. You need to do the suggested therapy. You know,
Right.
so thinking thoughts is not going to work.
Exactly.
So
it's almost the doctor's history of medicine. They've already been thinking the thoughts and looking at reality and saying, hey, this is a much better way to get healed of diseases rather than just imagining your disease gone.
But we tried to take every one of the claims from quantum physics to the medical aspect to the diet to prosperity. Every one of these things, can we find any ounce of truth in this? And the only things we found is the common sense stuff, like goal setting. Yeah, it helps. If you don't have a plan for the day, you probably won't accomplish as much today.
You know, and actually that brings me to my next question. Is the law of attraction, is it really just like a loose extrapolation of psychological self-help principles of human interaction like you'd find in Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. I would just say law of attraction goes further. It's basically ascribing supernatural powers to your mind. It's really kind of like witchcraft, really, if you want to look at it. Wicca teaches that if you want to change the future supernaturally, you might have a special words that you say, like an incantation or a special potion that you make.
Right.
You do something, and that actually changes the future. With this law of attraction, you don't need the messy ingredients. You just think the thoughts. But it's the same thing. It's ascribing supernatural properties to the human mind.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've already touched a little bit on this earlier, but I'd like to explore it in a bit more depth. Is there a connection between the law of attraction and faith healers of the prosperity gospel variety, like your say it and claim it preachers? You already mentioned Kenneth Copeland, but Benny Hinn, of course, and Mary Baker Eddy with Christian Science. Like, what is the connection between the law of attraction and how it claims that you can heal yourself with thoughts and, say, Church of Christ scientist?
Yeah, Christian Science. Mm-hmm. What you have in that is, you remember I talked about the 100-year-old books. There was the Mind Science Religions.
Yeah, what was that 100-year-old book, by the way?
I can't remember the name of it right now. It really was a book that was given, but it was part of that Mind Science era, the 100 years ago.
1800s kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, 19th century, and this idea that kind of like Christian Science. Mm-hmm. Christian Science teaches that there is no such thing as sickness or disease. It's wrong thinking. So that's why children die every year, that they won't take them to the hospital, because they don't believe there is such a thing as bowel obstructions or diabetes or anything like that.
And you can go online and find press releases and articles and court cases of parents who've been prosecuted because they didn't take their child to the doctor to cure a really easy to cure disease, but they didn't do it because they were Christian Scientists and they were trying to rely on faith to heal their children, but that didn't happen. The kids would end up dying for really simple, silly diseases.
Exactly, and it's a tragedy. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is Kenneth Hagin is the father of the modern word faith error that we see in Christianity. That's why when you turn on Trinity Broadcasting Network or the Daystar Network, you see all these. Oh, you can be wealthy. You can have a brand new car. You just send your money here and say the right words, and it comes into existence.
Right.
Come to find out, Kenneth Hagin, the grandfather of this, plagiarized an earlier teacher named E.W. Kenyon. Come to find out, E.W. Kenyon himself had been a student at one of the colleges of these mind science religion teachers. So there's almost a connection point of where did these ideas come from that we now brought. Kenneth Copeland was the pilot for Kenneth Hagin. So you kind of have this tree going back to this guy who was in the mind science religions. Yeah. So what I would argue is it's connected to like Christian Science and the Church of Religious Science, not to Christianity, not to any form of Protestant, Catholic, evangelical Christianity.
Now, would you say the mind science thing is that really more of an American phenomenon, like a syncretism between American consumerism and mystical thought?
Yeah. Now the theological connection would be more back to the East and to pantheism. So you have the religions of Asia.
Right.
But yes, you're right. The modern manifestation of it is very, very much. Even though Rhonda Byrne was from Australia, these books are all coming out of America. Mm-hmm. So this is where you had the mind science religions, and I would argue that that's where almost all bad ideas are coming out of today. Is coming out of America. We're the greatest exporter of bad philosophy and theology. Is unfortunately our country.
Right. Now we touched a little bit on this earlier, but it'd be interesting to go in more detail. Is there a difference between the law of attraction and praying to God for miraculous healing? You mentioned earlier the difference is that it's God who has the power, not the individual person. But like with the law of attraction, it's not that there is the power in the person and in their thoughts, but it's the universe that's bringing those things to fruition. So is there a parallel?
There's a little bit of a parallel, different from atheism, but you guys. Both proponents of the secret, the law of attraction, and Christians would say that there is a possibility of a supernatural answer out there. Mm-hmm. But that's the only common ground. How you get there and what that answer is totally different. When it comes to the secret, what we're dealing with is you having the power. You think the thoughts. The universe is impersonal, not personal. You don't ask the universe. You don't have a relationship. It's like, think of the electricity in the wall. Mm. You can use the power, but you can't have a relationship with electricity.
Understood.
Christian worldview says that you have no power. Mm-hmm. That there is a creator who does have the power, who can choose to say yes if you ask, but he's God, you're not. He can also choose to say no. Mm-hmm. So we believe there's a possible supernatural answer, but we believe we intrinsically have no power of ourselves. The Rhonda Byrne, The Secret, tells you have the power, you just don't know you do.
Right. Now, I want to bring it back to what we're discussing just right at the beginning, and we'll get it wrapped up here. How does the law of attraction impact moral conclusions? To me, when I was reading through this and noticing that there's connections to Mary Baker Eddy and Christian Science and kids dying, this to me makes this philosophy demonstrably evil. It's working towards people's deaths, actual deaths.
There are people that take it seriously. Now, it's interesting. In a second edition of the book form of the Secret, there was a disclaimer put in the front of the book.
Really?
Like this is for entertainment purposes only, or something like that. I mean, it doesn't say it that way. I can't remember the exact wording, but bottom line is this book is not designed to give medical advice. Because you can imagine there's liability there. You read the book, you stopped taking your meds.
Yeah.
You started using The Secret, and then you die. The family comes back.
But basically, if you believe in The Secret and the law of attraction, and something negative happens to you, you die, you get sick.
Let me address that though.
But basically, they're saying that it's your fault. You're not thinking the right thought.
Here's the other thing: is The Secret, and this is one of the things I think we uncovered uniquely in our book. It's non-falsifiable. Here's why: you're using The Secret. It's not working. You can't say it's not working. Because once you say it's not working, that thought goes out in the universe. You created the fact that it's not working because you thought the wrong thought. See, it works after all.
Yep.
And so it's one of those non-falsifiable things, and it ends up that you cannot test it scientifically. Because once you acknowledge it's not working, your thoughts created the failure.
Right. So in conclusion, I think there's a lot in common that atheists with an empirical perspective can have in common with Christians like you who are more evidentialist. You believe that reality is real, it exists, it's not a phantom in our mind, and that these things don't have a basis in reality. Our thoughts don't create reality. I'm not sure if you'd be able to say this. For me, I say it's exactly the opposite. Reality creates our thoughts. And in the Christian tradition, there's a lot of ins and outs and what have you.
I would say it this way: if our thoughts don't line up with reality, I would think that might be a mental health issue.
That's conceding a lot, actually. We'll touch base on that on another video. So, in conclusion, wrapping this up, whether or not you believe in God or disbelieve in God, there's good reason to think that the law of attraction is not real. It doesn't work. And if you really follow it consistently all the way through, you're actually living an evil philosophy that is to your detriment. And any positive benefits that you maybe could get out of the law of attraction, you're going to find those principles and ideas in other places, whether it's in neuroscience or psychology, or even more banal self-help books like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, or maybe even sales training kind of stuff like Brian Tracy. Again, you might think all that stuff is woo-woo, and that's fine, but question though that this is not based in quantum physics. It's based in a misunderstanding of quantum physics and really the definition of the word observer. There's plenty of videos you can watch on YouTube delving into that, and maybe at another point we'll delve into those questions. Again, James, thank you so much for being here. I'm really appreciating this because the conversations I've had with you, there's some common ground. And there's so many things out there where it's this fighting, this tug of war, butting heads between atheists and Christians. And I think that there can be so much more common ground that leads to more fruitful discussion and more fruitful understandings about ourselves and how reality works.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much, James, again.
Appreciate
And thank you for watching Atheist Edge, and we'll see you next time.